the Masters start tomorrow night. That's why we're here. We're here to talk PGA players today instead of the LIV players. I'm excited. I wish we were talking more about LIV, but I guess we can take a break and talk about the PGA players. What do you got?
Back for day 2. We don't take our jobs lightly here at Minnesota Left-Handers. We are here for the people. The people want a preview, and we're here to provide it.
Oh, and this is our friend Christian here,
who's a non-golfer. So I'm here to learn today.
He's here as a reminder that we needed a little bit of a recap of what's going on with the Masters and the LIV role and versus the PGA Tour. So we're going to get into that a little bit and some power ranking stuff, some odds stuff, who you've got, Brett, who I've got to win this thing, and kind of just prep our audience for what's to come on Thursday morning, 7:50 a.m.
7:50, huh?
That's the first tee time, as far as I know.
Let me back up to my question that I asked before. So this year is the first year that the LIV golfers are playing in the Masters. Why is that so extraordinary? What's going on? Why is that so important?
That is a great question. So the PGA Tour season is made up of 36 weeks or so. 32 of them are events put on by the PGA Tour. The other 4 are the majors. So the PGA Tour is like its own organization. The majors are not run by the PGA Tour. Each one is run by its own sort of entity. The Masters is run literally by the club at Augusta National, the Masters.
Okay.
The U.S. Open is run by the USGA, the United States Golf Association. The PGA Championship, and this is where things get murky, is different than it's run by the PGA of America, which is different than the PGA Tour. So when you walk into a golf course, you've been golfing before?
Many times, yep.
So you walk into the golf course, and there's a guy there who's probably folding sweaters and couldn't give you a lesson, right?
Yep.
He is certified by the PGA of America, most likely. The PGA Tour is made up of touring pros. He might be called a club pro, the guy at the golf course.
Yep.
But the PGA Tour is made up of touring pros. So there's sort of your difference.
Okay.
And then the last one is the Open Championship, which takes place oftentimes over in Scotland or England, and that is run by the R&A, the Royal and Ancient Club. So there are 4 different entities that run each major. The PGA Tour, when these guys left to join this other LIV, this upstart golf league, the PGA Tour said, we're banning you. You can't come back to our tour. We don't like that you've left to make more money or whatever the reason for leaving was. Well, they really don't have any say over what happens in the majors, though, because these other entities run those tournaments. However, those 4 tournaments, those 4 majors, are also sanctioned by the World Golf Ranking, which is you can earn points, and your world ranking is based on that. The LIV guys don't have they haven't met some of the criteria yet. Their tournaments and things haven't met the criteria to earn world ranking points, so they don't get any. However, they get paid millions more to go do their thing, but they can still get world ranking points if they play in these 4 majors. So the majors are sort of hold unique hand. They've got extra hand, if that makes sense. They've got a little more credibility than does just the PGA Tour, because they can invite the LIV guys in to play in their tournaments still, because they haven't been banned from those yet.
Sure. So who are going to be the top PGA Tour contenders going up against the LIV players this year?
Scotty,
do you want to take
Scotty, Rahm, Rory? Rory's just been outspoken against the PGA Tour. He's been the spokesperson for those guys. I don't know as much as Will would be, but JT, Jordan Spieth, I mean, these are just all the big names. Too bad Ricky's not good enough to play golf there, and some of these LIV guys are, but it's another day. I've given up on that.
Don't get me started. Here's the
thing. Here's what we were talking about before the camera came on. And my big thing, and I think the live guys have a lot more on the line than these PGA Tour players. These PGA Tour players, not only are they playing competitive, they're it's in line with their natural, breaking up the tours and the different events for every weekend and the 4 days and all that stuff. It's just normal for them, and then to go right into a major event. Whereas these live guys, they don't get as many opportunities to work on their official golf rankings.
That makes sense.
Like the PGA players do. So they have a lot on the line to get their ranking up because they have to stay above 50 and not drop below 50 for almost an entire year. And there's a couple of different ways to get into the majors, and one is winning it. So if these guys that are like a Cameron Smith that was 2 in the world rankings last year and dropped down to 6 now, if he can get a top 10 finish here, that's going to bump him up quite a bit in the official world rankings, so where he's not going to have to worry about it and have another chance to play the Masters next year. Yep. Now you got people like Harold Varner, right? He was at, 53?
No, because he's in the top 50.
Yeah.
40? He's there, but it's like, that's the only way he qualifies.
Right.
You've got guys like Brooks Koepka or Cameron Smith who have won in, majors in the past, and so they qualify under, 2 different categories. They're top 50 in the world still, and they've won a major. So if you've won a different of those majors, remember the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, or the Open, you get into the Masters for 5 subsequent years.
5-year exemption.
And that's what you guys talked about on the show last night.
Yeah, and so if they've won that and they're in the top 50 in the world, well, they sort of qualify 2 ways. Harold Varner hasn't won one of these majors previous to this year, so he only qualifies for being top 50 in the world. And if these live guys keep losing rankings because they're not playing in world golf ranking sanctioned events over on the live tour because they haven't met the qualifications yet to qualify for those tournaments or for those points, they're just going to keep dropping. Yep. And so, to Brett's point, this is why when they get into a world golf ranking qualifying event like a major, they have to play well. They have to show up.
They have so much more on the line. So I feel like, and I hope this is the case, and this is how I envision this working, and whether or not it works that way, that's to be determined. But I think that these live guys are going to come there with not only a chip on their shoulder, but a much more need to play well in this tournament. Where these PGA guys, it's another event. Yes, it's a majors. Yes, it's a Masters. I get all that stuff. Yes, it's more than just an event for them. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's more of a spite to live, like an F you to Greg Norman, like, hey, you live guys. Even though, Rory and those guys and Bryson and Brooks Koepka, the 2 live guys, they all played their warm-up round. I mean, they got no bad blood to each other, it doesn't sound like, so everything's good there. But I think secretly these PGA Tour players are playing more just to spite these live guys, and just they don't have what these live players have on the line. So I just think we're going to have a great showing. Probably not from Phil or Patrick Reed or Harold Varner, but Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson. I think these guys are really going to show up, and I'm hoping for a top 10 and seeing competitive golf with these guys. And that's another thing with the majors. Why they didn't take a stance like the PGA Tour did was because they want the best golfers in the world playing on television together.
Absolutely.
They're not going to ban the best golfers in the world based off of them playing for a different tour.
Yep. And so you'd put some money down on these games, right?
We have. We went to Arizona on our golf trip, and we made a bunch of bets. I made one bet.
1 second. I just got to step in for 1 second. Hey, Minnesota legislature, get on this. I don't want to have to go to Arizona to make sports bets anymore. So if anyone from the Minnesota legislature is listening, figure this out. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, or go to Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I only put one bet. My bet was on Cam Smith. But my wife, we were leaving, and sometimes it's just better when you don't know anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not always the favorite that wins.
Yep.
Masters, like Scotty or Rahm or Rory. It's not always that guy. So I mean, didn't Danny Willett win it once? I mean, just a couple of not no-namers, but people that were the odds were stacked against.
Yep.
And she picked Bryson DeChambeau, Hideki Matsuyama, Will Zalatoris, Cam Smith, and there's one more I'm missing. I can't remember it for the life of me.
How many names? How many names did you pick?
She picked 4. I picked 1.
Okay, so you have 5 total.
Yep.
And it's a whole pool. How does your pool work?
No, this was when we were in Arizona. We just did straight bets.
Oh, this was straight bets. Okay.
Yep. Just in Arizona, just took the odds.
Got it. Okay. Because there's different kinds of Masters, especially with the Masters, people get together and bet on this a lot. You can do your straight winner bet, your outright winner bets.
Yep.
But I'm about to bet here, probably as soon as we're done with this episode, on a Masters pool. And essentially what happens is I'm going to take 4 guys. And with golf, you want to be under par and all of that. So I'm going to take my best 3 of those 4. And however far under par I am with those 3, we'll see how I stack up against other teams.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm picking a winner necessarily, but I want to pick 3 guys who are going to top 10.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You want to pick a good group of guys. So there's some strategy involved there, which I also think it'd be interesting to kind of a nice segue into one of those links I sent you.
Yeah. So your pool bet.
Yeah, one more thing.
We did our pool bet at my work. It was a draft, 13 guys, you have 4 golfers. I ended up with Hideki, Homa, Willett, and I forget my last guy. I don't remember the last guy, but yeah, that's my team. It's top.
It wasn't Sandy Lyle, was it?
No, one guy picked Sandy Lyle just to be funny with his last guy. But it's your top 3 golfers' scores combined. So, and how golf events work is the first 2 days kind of sets the field.
Okay.
And it's a collective score through 4 days.
Okay.
So after the first 2 days, the top 50 scores plus anyone that's tied stay in the tournament.
Okay.
The rest don't get to play Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
So, and then it goes Saturday, which is move-in day, and that's when you really see people jumping up in standings and
Yep.
shooting really good. And then, Sunday is for finishing. So
Sunday at the Masters. I don't know if this is terrible to say or not, but I'm kind of bummed that it lands on Easter, because I like to. It doesn't always land on Easter, because Easter kind of changes.
Yep.
Different weekends or whatever. The Masters is always the first weekend in April, but I love just sitting in my basement on Masters Sunday and not moving. It's the best. I just love sitting there watching that. So the stat I was going to have you pull up was the one that talked about baselines from Ron something on Twitter.
Ron Close. Got it up.
Yeah. He has a stat. Let's see. Oh, I've got it up here too. And it says each of the last 10 winners of the Masters has gained at least 0.25 strokes around the green in the 16 rounds prior to their victory. So basically, there's some inside baseball there, but basically what that means is they have a good short game. They can chip well, they can putt well.
Yep.
Not even so much they can putt well, but they can chip well. So if your second shot misses the green, you're hitting a good chip shot to give yourself a chance at par.
Yep.
And if it's on the screen, there's that list, right? Masters participants who are above this line that have played well, there's that list. Masters participants who are well below this line: Straka, Harmon, Hovland, Finau, Connors, Ryan Fox, Homa, Zalatoris, and Adam Scott.
Oh, my other guy was Shane Lowry. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. And
Yep.
That's a good pick.
Yep,
That's
it was a very good pick.
What I found interesting about that list of guys who are below this line, if you look at the 2022 Masters, Corey Connors took 6th. The 21 Masters, Corey Connors took 8th. The 2020 Masters, Corey Connors took 10th. So, and I think he's only played in 3 Masters. He's never finished outside the top 10, but he's below that line, which means that
Yep.
he's not a good. So it's where do we stand on these stats? Because in some sense, and also Zalatoris took 2nd. He's below that line.
Yep.
Finau's below that line, but he's got a top 10. I'm looking at this going, Zalatoris took 6th and a 2nd in the last 3 years. So like, are these guys, not supposed to play well because they're below that baseline? Well, they're still top 10 guys. Like, I'd take them in my Masters pool. So I just don't know where I land on that, because when I made my outright bets in Arizona, and then I made one in Iowa as well, I put both bets down on Max Homa to win outright.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then I saw this and I went, well, shoot, that sucks. But at the same time, it's not necessarily holding true to place, because I'd take my chance if a guy's in the top 10 heading into Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I don't.
some of these guys are playing their best golf heading into this. Scotty's kind of been on a tear. Rahm's he's a favorite, but he's kind of fallen off ever since he's got food poisoning. Fitzpatrick, I'm pretty sure he's got something banged up with the shoulder going on right now. So and it's the Masters, dude. Anyone can win this. I'd be interested to see, what is Shane Laurie even on this list?
I don't think his name.
Or like a Danny Willett. You know what I mean? It's like just some of the I hate saying no namers because these are professional golfers, but some of these guys that were under the radar.
Sure. So there was also that tweet from the guys at No Laying Up that I sent your way. Media.
The odds.
It had the odds, and it had one thing that I wanted to point out. Take the upper left picture, because I think it's a series of 4 pictures.
There's the one with all the different odds, like 3 month, 6 month, 12 month.
Yeah. So you got Scheffler there with his odds at 700 to 1.
Yep.
Go down to Max Homa in his last 3 months at .241 shots gained. That's overall shots gained. Again, some inside baseball there. But the point is, look at those numbers around him. Do you see anyone? Jason Day's got .255.
Yep.
And then your big 3 are pretty good. He's actually better than Rory. He's not quite as good as Rahm or as good as Scheffler. And look at his odds at 2,500. You know what I mean? Like, would you take that bet?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Strokes gained? Like, that's one of the reasons I went with him. I saw this and I was like, at those odds, I'll take my chances. He's got the 4th best strokes gained in the last 3 months. I mean, there's no reason not to take that flyer. So even though he's below that baseline, I just am looking at those going, that's why he's my guy. So just an interesting.
It's fun to look at stats. Stats are always fun.
Yeah. Do they translate? No, because Charles Schwartzel. I know I just spat all over my computer screen here with Charles Schwartzel. And Danny Willett, they can come up and win. Like you were saying earlier, anyone, it can happen for anyone, but it's just interesting to look at some of those stats and go, I like that guy.
So now that we're talking stats, let's move right into the power rankings for this right now. Obviously, our 3 guys are in the top 5, Scotty, Rory, and Rahm. But it's weird because I keep on seeing Jason Day creeping up and showing up in more and more places. Like, this guy might have a shot at well, everyone's got a shot at winning it, but like a following to placing pretty dang well here. I really don't like Jordan Spieth. I don't know why he makes top 5. The guy has done nothing all year. I'm pretty sure his putter he left in last year's final match there, but Dustin Johnson up there, Max Homa at 12. He's been dropping. Justin Thomas has been dropping. Brooks Koepka's kind of stood still. Cameron Smith dropped a little bit from some of the stuff I've been seeing. Sam Burns dropped a little bit from, some of the stuff pre Masters week that I've been just following along. If I were to put together a list here, I'd do Scotty, Rory, and then Rahm, and switch Day here. I'd put Spieth down here somewhere in the teens probably, and I'd bring Homa up. Corey Connors, I think he deserves better than 14 after coming off a big win. He's going to be riding high. Brooks Koepka's been pretty hot in live. I think he's riding a little light on his ranking. Same with Cam Smith. Same with Sam Burns. Patrick Cantlay, this guy's been his accuracy has been fire at the beginning of this year. So to see him at 18, I don't know. There's not enough room to squeeze all my guys in the top 10.
So let me ask you this. I see this article is from the PGA Tour. If those are live guys that are farther down in the rankings, do you think there's something to do with that? Maybe?
I like it.
Wait, look at this guy. You already got him on the conspiracy
I like
stuff. They put up just an infographic, kind of a stat in a break in the action last week. Was last week Dell? No, 2 weeks ago was Dell. And the 2015, they put up here's the last 10 winners of this event or whatever. They were just talking about that. And the 2015 winner and the 2017 winner, I don't know who they were, but I know that they were both live guys. And on the infographic, it said the 14 winner was whoever. Then it said the 2016 winner was whoever. And then it said 18 was whoever. They plucked them right out of the ranking. Didn't even show their names on the screen.
Wow.
So there could be something to that where the PGA Tour is sort of shading away from the live guys a little bit.
So after you were talking, we got power rankings, we got the live. Tell me about your power ranking.
I'd like to just comment a little bit on the power rankings we have here. One, Jordan Spieth gets number 5 because he has some pedigree here at.
So does Patrick Reed, and he didn't even crack top 20, dude.
Well, sure, but Jordan Spieth has 2, maybe he has 2 and a second, I think. He's got a better pedigree around this place than Patrick Reed does. I know Patrick Reed.
Okay,
has
well,
won.
Tiger Woods has won it 6 times, but he's not playing good golf, so he's not on the list. Jordan Spieth is not playing good golf.
Oh, I disagree. Let's see where he lands at the end of the week here. I disagree. He's playing some a T4 at Valspar, a T4 or a T3 at Valspar, a T4 at API. I'd take him. I wouldn't mind that pick. What sticks out to me is that Dustin Johnson is he's the only live guy in the top 10. But in your live rankings, where would you put him if of live guys' best chance to win the Masters?
I'd put him behind Brooks right now.
And Cam.
Yep.
So he's ranked. They have him ranked 9th, but their ranking of live guys goes Dustin Johnson, then Brooks Koepka, then Cam Smith. It's just interesting. I think I disagree with that. And
I found where I'd make the switch. I'd take Tony Finau, put him in at 15 or 16, and bring Cameron Smith to number 7.
I think that's fair.
You know what I mean?
We got to see where Cam Smith's nerves are at. What was interesting to me, and I think I said this yesterday, in the last 4 years, he has 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and then 1 that he just kind of blew up. I think he took 51st or something. But in the last 4 years, he's all been in the top 10, and 2 of those have been in the top 5. So he's comfortable here.
You know who else is kind of? I mean, I guess it's not surprising, but Will Zalatoris. I mean, didn't he have a really good amateur run his first year at the Masters?
Top 10 or for sure top 10.
But an amateur can't win it, or there's something goofy rule about that.
Really?
Well, no, I think an amateur can win, but they don't get paid.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
And then so in 2022 he took 6th, and then 2021 he took 2nd.
Second, that was his amateur year.
No, 2021 would have been. Yeah, he had a heck of a.
Because I remember that's when I first heard about it. I was like, wait, he doesn't get paid? That doesn't make any sense. That's because they don't have
Wilson looking guy.
They don't have their card yet.
Oh.
Right, and until you declare, you can't win that kind of money.
Yep.
Until you declare that you're a pro. You asked about my power rankings, where I would rank.
Yeah, how would you kind of rearrange this power ranking right now?
I'm sure that my pocketbook has a little bit to do with this, but I'm gonna go with Max Homa at 1.
At 1?
I got money on him. I got dollars down.
I'm saying you have to publish power rankings for people to look at and base their judgment off of what you think. Who you putting at number 1?
It's not necessarily my investment. Rory. I think Rory's my one. I think he wants to finish the Grand Slam, which Christian, that means that he's won all four of the majors at least once. Which
He's
Okay.
only won 3 of the 4 majors. The one he
Okay.
hasn't win is the hardest one to win, which is the Masters.
Masters. Okay.
Yeah. And it's a feat that has only been accomplished by a handful of guys. So he would be joining pretty elite company to do that.
Absolutely, he would be.
And that's that. So he's my one because I do think that he has. I know you're saying like the live guys have a lot to play for, but I think there's enough there for him.
That's
to,
pretty big for him to play for. That's
Yeah,
really
no,
big.
But how many
motivation.
years has he been playing for a Grand Slam? 3?
a lot since like 2011.
Yeah, he's.
Okay.
I mean, he's been trying to complete the Grand Slam for
Okay.
He hasn't won a major in a while.
years.
Probably Scotty Scheffler. I know that he would have to repeat, but still, he's just that good right now.
He's just so calm.
And I hate to do this because it is the big three. Rahm. How do you bet against Rahm? He's won something like 9 of his last 14 events or something like that. It's crazy. And then, really seriously, like the next most winningest player in the last year is Max Homa. So it's probably him or Spieth. It was kind of funny. On Tuesday, Justin Thomas, he gets introduced at his press conference, and I don't know who introduces him, but yeah, here's Justin Thomas at the table, and then they kind of, give some of their accolades and some of their accomplishments and stuff. And they introduced him and basically said, Justin, you've, in the last, 5 years or whatever the number was, you have the most birdies and eagles of anyone in the field. And his only response was, well, geez, I better start making bogeys then. Because in reality, if you have the most birdies and eagles of anyone in the field, you should have won a Masters by now. And he hasn't. So he's like,
Wow.
oh boy, I better stop making bogeys and doubles. It was
Yeah.
kind of funny. So he's got a little bit of juice to try to win this thing. He's a great iron player. He can work the ball as good as anyone. So there's a chance that it could be him, but I don't know. I don't see
He
it.
can't
I don't
putt.
see it.
Him and Spieth both just.
Yeah, Spieth has kind of lost it a little bit too. We'll see where it all shakes out. But like I said, I got a 2 outright bets on Max Homa. So he's kind of my guy.
He's your guy.
That's right.
So I'll let you talk about Harold Varner's quote because I got a little bit of a comeback here for this. So why don't you talk about how bad?
So the first 3 days of the week are always, it's Masters week and it's all commentary. It's all, analyzing what's going on, this, that. And now we got this live angle. What's happening with those guys? It's press conferences, it's news articles, it's interviews. And one thing that came up was Harold Varner, who almost reluctantly left the PGA Tour, but he kind of saw the writing on the wall as far as his career. Like, I do think he's getting old, and he just he wasn't winning quite like maybe he'd hoped,
Yep.
and he chased the money a little bit. And why wouldn't you? I don't fault him for that. Like, go chase the dollars. You can set up your family for, I don't know, generations by
Yep.
winning that many millions and taking that contract. And here's an article from the Washington Post that he did an interview. They must have followed him around his house, like a feature almost. And I'm trying to find. Here it is. Here's the quote I wanted to bring up from this author. So it says, so what about Live Chief Executive Greg Norman's declaration that players' motivation to defect from the PGA Tour expands beyond greed, that golf can be an instrument for global diplomacy, and that Live players wish to grow the game? Because that was kind of the claim, like, we're trying to grow the game here. We're trying to make it accessible for everyone. Varner's response is, and it's kind of half redacted, not so much redacted, but edited here. So they didn't write the swear words in the article, but it says, They're full of shit. They're growing their pockets. I tell them all the time, all of them. You didn't come here to fucking grow the fucking game. So it almost doesn't seem like he's not happy. I I don't know. Not on board with the mission. I don't know how to maybe phrase that.
See,
Like,
and,
he's
and
not.
that's where I want to go with this. I think it's totally contextual. Like, no, these guys aren't trying to grow the game. They're trying to grow their pocketbooks, just like the PGA Tour is. And now the PGA Tour's pockets are so big, they're finally got caught that they have to start giving more money into these events for the guy, up in the purses for the guys to win more money.
Yep.
So I think that it's just contextual that Harold's just like, yeah, dude, they're growing the game. They're making money. This is a business. They're making money. That's what they're here to do. I don't hate NFL for wanting to make money. I don't hate the PGA Tour for wanting to make money. What do you fucking think, man? You guys are crazy if you think they're just trying to grow the game. No, they're trying to make money.
And grow the game is such a bullshit phrase.
Well,
I
they
hate
had to
that
play
phrase.
that narrative. They had to because the PGA Tour was trying to turn them into the XFL when Sean McMahon started it up.
And that's kind of my point too, is that you're not growing the game at the professional level. You know who's growing the game? The three of us sitting right here
True
talking
that.
about it on a podcast. For the everyman, we are growing the game more than the PGA Tour is with their millions of dollars, these dollar amounts that we can't relate to. It's the old retired guy on Tuesday mornings in the summer working on putting and chipping with a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how you grow the game. There's nothing that Live or the PGA Tour is going to do to grow the game. That's such a stupid phrase and they all said it early on. And now Varner's just calling him out, which I think is kind of funny.
I don't know if he's calling him out. I just say I think. What do you guys are all crazy to think that they're not trying to. It's so contextual because the quote is only bits and pieces. You don't actually get to see it live. You don't know how it was phrased. You don't know how he said it. I mean, it's so political, and that's what's so annoying about it.
But what's interesting is to contrast that with Bubba Watson, another Live guy, who said in an interview today, the question was just one question, Bubba. There's been a rumor that Live will have to make money within the first 5 years to not shut down. Is that of any concern to you? And his response was, you started the question with what, a rumor? So you're asking me about a rumor? I've never heard that. I've never heard it. That means if they shut down, I'll just retire. It's good with me. I'm blessed, man. Thanks. So he's kind of dismissive a little bit, but the point was, he's like happy where he is. He's like, I'm not coming back to the PGA. Like, I'll just be done. I'll just retire. Like,
Yep.
He seems to be at peace with that. Like, he likes where he's at. Whereas Varner, at least on the face of it, I see what you're saying about context, but at least on the face of it, he seems to be kind of unsure. But Bubba's like, I'm good.
I don't know.
So, did you see the other piece of news that came out that said that, was it for Live guys maybe to come back to the PGA Tour, they'd have to pay like 4 times what they've made?
Wow.
Was that what it was?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, man.
Sounds like another rumor you keep on spreading. Nate, the rumor spreader.
Oh.
You know who this is? This is Alan Shipnuck, who's been saying this, and he's always been kind of on the edge of reality, maybe, with the whole Phil Mickelson thing going back to last February and whatever else. So ultimately, though, it's the Masters, man. It's Masters
the
week.
Masters. So to all those viewers that have followed us to the end of this video, hey, thanks, man. Kudos to you. Frank the Tank probably made it to the end. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, blah, 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 blah. Thanks, Christian, for joining, sitting in on this. He's visiting, so he's just kind of tagging along with me. Came and sold some cars and drove some cars at the dealership today. It's been fun.
And after chatting with y'all and seeing your episode, I might even watch the Masters.
Oh, we will be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You should. You should.
We will be watching some of the Masters.
It's a good time.
Well, as always, thank you, Nate.
Yes, I will be on my couch tomorrow morning, bright and early, watching every minute, and I will be keeping social media updated with all kinds of nonsense, I'm sure, because I
I will
don't know,
be at
like
work.
I make time for that stupid crap. But we're gonna come back with a recap, and guess what we have next week?
Hey,
An
maybe we
elevator.
don't cut it there. Maybe we do some more stuff this week, even. Maybe do like a Thursday after the cut.
Ooh.
Oh, like Friday night maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I got a big poker tournament Friday night, so.
I guess you'll have to prioritize.
All right, buddy. Well, as always, it's great to sit down with you. Thanks, Christian, for
Thanks for
joining
having
us.
me, guys.
Thanks for all the people that stayed till the end here, and hit them far, hit them straight, and we'll see you next time.